Pace Group will reveal the strategy and the details behind 5D productions, including the ESPN Winter X Games, where 35 rigs were used to accomplish the largest 5D production in history. You'll see how only the 5D methodology enables broadcasters to increase revenue by integrating 3D into their existing 2D business model.
Saw before is just the beginning.
Matt, you ready to give this a go?
Hell yeah, sir.
And 3, 2, 1, action.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Ken Aygard, Executive Vice President, CBS Sports.
Hi, I get the, thank you. I have the privilege today to introduce the guest speakers for this session. The first time I actually did 3D at CBS was for the Final Four in 2010 in Indianapolis. And some of you may recall in that game, it was very exciting. You had the Butler team, the small team from Indianapolis itself, up against the Duke big guys. And right at the end, you had this great shot by this young man, Gordon Hayward, who could have won the game for Butler. I actually think, arguably, if that shot had gone in, it may have been one of the greatest moments in all time in sports. I was in the 3D truck. It was a great shot in the 3D truck as well. I remember my boss, Sean McManus, later said to me, hey, did he make it in the 3D truck? But the shot that really got me just before that, during the timeout, was in 3D, was Coach K on the sidelines. And that moment in 3D, watching him stand up on the court, really concentrating on how his team was going to be able to try to win this game, was a very special moment in 3D. 3D tells the story in a different way. We went on to do the US Open tennis, put some cameras in the low wells, and suddenly you're watching Rafa Nadal and Roger Federer, and you are seeing the ball with the top spin right over the net. You get the feeling of speed. It was a different way of being able to watch the US Open tennis. And then on, just even recently, we just did the Masters. The Masters, of course, is a very special event, but I remember some scenes. I've been there now 15 years that I saw on 14, looking back at 13 with the undulations of the fairways, as well as the 17th green, which you really can't see in 2D with that 3D effect. And I remember when we were first starting HD, and I looked at that one camera shot looking back up at 18, and went, wow, finally we're being able to show the elevation. Wait till you see it in 3D. It is unbelievable. Well, how did we get this all done? Vince Pace and James Cameron, these are the guys. They've come up with very unique, creative ways of being able to shoot live 3D. It has been my privilege to be around them and watch them come up with different ways. I'll talk to you about the shadow system that we created at the US Open tennis, where we could actually have the 3D lenses over the 2D lens, tie it to the same operator. It helped me great in a bunch of different ways. Most importantly is I didn't have the camera positions, and it's also a way of having one camera operate both systems. So I can't, when Vince called me last night and asked if I'd introduce him, I said, I can't do that. I'm not qualified to introduce these two guys. But then after I thought about it, I'm not sure who is. I cannot believe I'm even in the same room with these two guys. Ladies and gentlemen, Vince Pace and James Cameron.
Thanks for that, Ken. That was great. You know, we were talking to Ken right before the show, and he reminded me that the transition from standard def to HD took place over at least a 12-year period. And you know, we're going through a different but very similar transition right now, the transition from 2D to 3D, where you know we're ahead of the curve in movies relative to broadcast, but we're dealing with the same transition now. The growing pains, the questions, the uncertainty, the doubts, the naysayers, the scoffers, and the success stories. Because you know we have triumph after triumph. You know, as we're out there actually as practitioners of this new art. And the last year has been incredible for Vince and I, and for the whole team at CPG, which has grown rapidly in size as a team. It's grown rapidly in terms of technological capability. And we were here last year to announce you know, the formation of CPG, and we had a lot of plans and a vision statement. We told you guys what we were going to do, and it's great to be back here a year later and to be able to say that you know, that we did it, that we're on that path, and that we've had really a spectacular year. You know, winning the first Sports Emmy for the U.S. Open, and now with 2 new Emmy nominations for the Summer X Games and for the Masters, and really starting to kind of redefine how some of these sports work visually, especially I think the golf. I think everybody is so stunned by that. And then with Hugo winning the Academy Award for cinematography, only the second film that was an all-digital film using digital cameras, and it was 3D. Avatar was the first one, also in 3D, and Hugo the second one. And we'll talk more about Hugo, but we're very, very proud of that project because it's also the first CPG certified movie, 3D film. Avatar was the de facto first one, but we didn't use that term then. And so, you know, we're gonna talk a lot about the value of kind of quality and generating a kind of brand awareness around the idea of end-to-end quality in 3D, which is you know, so absolutely important because, you know, this is a nascent market, and it's going to succeed or fail, and the rate of growth of the market is going to be determined by how well we step up as an industry and provide people with a quality experience. And that starts where Vince and I are, where the rubber meets the road at how the content is created. We're going to talk about our vision for content creation, how to make it profitable, especially in broadcast, which we see as the future. I mean, I think it's safe to say we see 3D as the future. You know, we've been here, you know, year after year. We've been doing 3D for 12 years now, and we are in it to win it. But the future of 3D is broadcast, and that's where we're going to see explosive growth over the next few years. And so, you know, I just want to close my opening statement by saying how absolutely proud I am of our engineering team, of Patrick Campbell and our CTO and his guys, who have created so many new and sophisticated products this last year. I walked through the booth. I just came back from 5 months at sea. Just got back from an expedition, and which was a CPG production. We were out there shooting documentary at sea, running around with CPG rigs on our shoulders, and even some new technology that went deep, and I'll talk about that later. I got back after 5 months. I didn't recognize half the stuff in the booth. It was amazing. Things that we had just been talking about in August and September were now a reality, and a tested reality, a product that had even been out there on shows. All the things that we talked about last year in front of you guys are now a reality. We talked about making the cameras smarter, to take the onus off the operators and the directors for having to manage the stereo space in real time. Well, that's there, you know, the smart rig technology, it's all embedded across the whole product line. It's taking the algorithms that we developed doing films like Avatar, where, you know, everybody has said so much about, oh, the way you're doing 3D, where it's depth and it's not gimmicky, it's not coming out at you. Well, we took that philosophy, that kind of subjective aesthetic philosophy, and we quantified it, and we patented it essentially, and we embedded it in our technology, and it runs right across, right through the whole DNA of our product line from end to end. And the amazing thing, I think, about 3D is that it's really unified 2 different worlds. You had the world of movies, you know, which was based on film. We had our own lenses, we had our own cameras, we were cranking, you know, photochemistry through mechanical movements. And then over here you had video. And all of a sudden it's just all flowed together into one system. We're using the same lenses in both places. We're using the same sensors. And so we're able to develop code, develop FPGAs, develop things right from the board level up, knowing that it's going to be amortized across the entire spectrum of cameras, tools, and workflow tools that we're creating, because we can use it on the movie side, we can use it in episodic, we can use it in sports, we can use it in any kind of live entertainment and broadcast applications. And there's never been a moment like this in history before. It's a great place to be standing right now in our industry, right at the, kind of the crosshairs of these, two completely previously divergent fields of technical development, now all working for, at least from our perspective, essentially on a common platform. And that allows us we may develop something over here to answer a need on the cinema side that all of a sudden is rippling through and showing up on the sports side, on the broadcast side, or vice versa. And so the rate of technical development is so rapid right now, the evolution is so fast. I mean, I don't even know what half the products are out in the booth. I have to have my own guys take me around because it's changed so much. I've been gone for 5 months. I have to go through the specs and look at it. Some of it is stuff that we just talked about a few months ago, and it's amazing to see it a reality now. And so beautifully packaged, so beautifully integrated. And the results speak for themselves on the shows that we've been out on. 35 cameras at the Winter X Games. 35 cameras. Last year we stood up here and we essentially said to this audience, if you're going to shoot a football game, how many cameras are you supposed to have there? 12, 14? Why are you trying to do it with 3 in 3D? You're giving with one hand, saying, hey, it's a better experience, and taking away with the other. Yeah, but you don't have the good camera positions because it's a kind of production that's like a bag on the side of the mainstream traditional 2D production. So we said, you know where it's all going to go? It's all going to go to a merged and integrated production. There's not going to be a separate 3D production and 2D production. Well, guess where we are? Somebody coined the name 5D. We didn't do it, but we'd already been doing 5D. We'd already been philosophically moving toward 5D. And so now the industry has gravitated toward the concept of 5D, of integrated 2D, 3D production. And that's exactly what we were proselytizing last year. And all of our product line and all the tools that we use internally are all based on that principle. And here we are. And so, last year I just want everybody to understand. So there's so many naysayers out there that oh, it's not happening fast enough, there's too many barriers to entry, it costs too much, all that stuff, except it is happening. And we are seeing progress, and the progress is quite rapid. If you think about where we were last year, there were a few people experimenting with it, and they were trying to do a 3D production, sometimes as a one-off or in a limited case. They'd stick the cameras in the kind of red-headed stepchild camera positions that weren't very good, or across the court on the other side, and it wouldn't even cut, and there were 2 separate trucks, and there was double the expense. We said, that's all got to go away. Well, guess what? In this last year, it has gone away. That's not how people are thinking now. So we're starting to feel the whole industry moving toward solutions that actually make sense and are profitable. And so that's really gratifying to us, because we sort of said, this is where we think it has to go, and we're building the technology to make that happen. And now our stuff is flying off the shelves. It's always out. But just going back to that idea of 35 cameras for a shoot in 3D, if you think of that as a 5D shoot, you've got a 2D camera, and you've got a second camera with that's generating 3D. So that's double that. That's 70. In some cases, you had a 2D big, the classic box camera with the super long lens, and then you'd have 2 cameras on top of that with slightly shorter zoom lenses. So you'd have 3 lenses all working, all integrated, all tied together by the software. So I don't really know what the exact answer is, but it was certainly more than 70. It might have been as many as 90 or 100 separate feeds coming into the truck, all switched, all QC'd, and all going out either as a 2D deliverable or a 3D deliverable. That's pretty damn amazing. And it's because I think, in a sense, we challenged broadcasters to say, tell us what you really want. And it falls into that category of be careful what you ask for, because you might get it. And ESPN said, well, how about 40 cameras for the Winter X Games? And I think, Vince, you were the one that took that call. I think you said, how about 30? Well, it wound up being 35. And I think that's astonishing. I think Even a year ago, we would not have thought that was possible. I don't think the industry thought it was possible. I think internally we even thought that was going to be quite daunting. But now we see what the limits of the possible really are, that we're really just shooting 3D as if it's not special. That's the important thing. The more we try to make 3D special and different and mysterious and difficult, the more we collectively do ourselves a disservice by making it not special, by integrating it in to the traditional approach, using the same operators, using the same methods, the same general production strategies. The better it's going to work. I mean, that's been our whole vision.
Absolutely, and it has been a good year for us. You know, a year ago we launched the formalization of our relationship that's been going on for about 13 years in the designing and building of products that support this 3D deliverable. And you know, back then the history of the company was that it had to meet the standards of production, which were Steadicam, Technocrane, handheld, and we delivered on that. There was no question that everybody's concentration was not to make it a white elephant, but to make it something that incorporates into production methodologies that were known and utilized in the industry. And as we walked into last year, it was really a conversation about what are we going to do about this? What is CPG going to do about the industry and the needs and requirements for the broadcast industry to be successful? And we set our own set of challenges. We knew that integration had to occur on a higher degree. We knew that the product choices needed to increase. And so we set the path on the engineers and the depth of our capability on a track to service it from an end-to-end solution. And you know, it was at a time that we felt that the industry success story was going to be in broadcast. And so a year ago, we entered into this field with a concentration, but like many of our challenges, whether we've been working with NBA or ESPN or CBS, we find ourselves being thrown into the fire quicker than we think. We end up being challenged to the statements sooner on the path, and ESPN approached us to do the Winter X Games exactly as we had described, which was a single production extracting a 2D and 3D deliverable. And their descriptive terms with how many cameras were going to be needed was roughly around 40 at the time. It ended up being 35. And you know, by the way, it's on you know, snow-covered mountains. It's at extreme elevations. It's at athletes that push the boundaries of you know, how they exhibit their craft and therefore put the cameras in harm's way. So it wasn't something that you know, to be taken lightly. But we signed on as CPG, and I think there's one thing to touch on. These achievements are really garnered through partnership. You know, ESPN threw their best people at it. Ken was up here, and I appreciate the kind introduction, but these are the type of individuals that work with us to make these success stories. It's that partnership where they take their experience of covering the sport for so many years and open it up to our participation to take it to a new level. And this year has really been, you know, show after show, an exhibition of those relationships. Whether it was the U.S. Open, where we won the Emmy for it, but this last year we covered both courts. We had 14 cameras. We had cameras right at the nets. We had cameras for coverage. We applied more technology to telling the story of the competition. And it culminated with a 35 camera shoot, which was a true 5D production in collaboration with ESPN. But as recent as a week ago, I was out there with Ken at this latest Masters shooting the back nine with 28 cameras. And it was really amazing to me. Probably the biggest achievement has been that we're now telling the story and the competition of sports.
and we add to it some incredible visuals. The master's course, the hook shot of Bubba Watson to win the Masters tournament was, in my opinion, the most incredible visual experience, because if you want to see a hook shot, there's only one way to do it, and that's in 3D. And so I think, you know, the engineers have stepped up to the plate. We've seen these solutions implemented in the field, and we're here to talk to you about some of those solutions as we move forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think partnerships are what it's all about. You know, in a few different ways. I think the 3D practitioners, you know, over the last few years have really, in general, and I think we were guilty of this at one point a few years ago as well, done themselves a disservice by making 3D mysterious, and by trying to cling to essentially a job and a revenue stream by saying, well, you don't really know what you're doing. You need us to be the gatekeepers of 3D production. And I think that was really off-putting to people that had been doing their jobs very, very well for 10 or 20 or 30 years. And you know, Vince and I kept looking at each other like, why don't they trust us? Why isn't this taking off? Why isn't everybody doing 3D? We constantly demonstrate how great it looks, and the audience constantly reaffirms how much they love it. Why isn't it taking off? And we realized that there was a disconnect at the point at which people were deciding to move into producing content. You know, Vince and I have always said, you know, we're going to be producers of content. That turns out to be a very, very small part of what CPG is all about. Yes, we'll pick certain projects that we personally love to get more involved in on a producing level as producing partners, like the Cirque du Soleil project being an example. But we can't, just the two of us, produce enough content to move the needle at all in terms of broadcast. We need to enable the others out there who are doing it day in and day out, who have the shows, who have the sports licenses, who are doing this stuff already. We need to enable them. And we realized that there was a disconnect, that the message that was coming out of the 3D community was, you don't know what you're doing, you therefore need us. And the message that Vince and I have been really putting out for the last year and standing behind in terms of the way we develop our technology and our methodologies is, you know exactly what you're doing. We will stand behind you and enable what you want. You tell us what you want, we're going to overlay our technology and our workflow to your traditional method, the way you've done it, what you know, your camera operators, you know, exactly the way you would normally switch it. We're not going to say that it's mysterious and it's a whole new ball game. I think that's a mistake. I think that's a mistake people made. You know, the funny thing is that when I was making Avatar, I wasn't shooting it for 3D, because I knew that a lot of people were going to see it in 2D, and I knew that it was going to have a huge life in video in 2D, because 3D Blu-ray wasn't even there yet at the point that Avatar was released on home video. And you know, Avatar went on to become the highest selling video title of the year, the highest selling Blu-ray, 2D Blu-ray in history. You don't have a kind of a video hit like that if it's not working as a 2D movie. So we were already doing 5D production. We just didn't call it that. You know, we weren't doing anything really special for the 3D. We were just doing really good, high quality 3D within normal narrative framework, normal cutting rhythm, normal kinds of camera compositions. And that's why 3D can be applied as an overlay without breaking your flow. You know, we're going to talk later about the idea of a zero delta approach. We're going to try to minimize almost to zero or to zero the difference that you're going to have to pay and the difference in the way that you're going to work. And I think that's the only way that we're going to break this logjam of content and get the content flowing. And you get the content flowing, and the delivery methods and the display at the end user is all going to take care of itself. You know, that was the attitude that we took when we had to break the chicken and egg cycle for movies, which we were successful in doing. People just went out there and started making the films, myself included. And guess what? The delivery system took care of itself once there was something to talk about.
Well, I think you alluded to the Cirque project for us, and I think the importance of it, and we're going to roll a clip in a few seconds here. The importance of it is that I think, you know, we talk a lot about sports for broadcast, but the arts and entertainment field, the ability for this to come into your homes and appreciate a brand such as this, and see it in such an incredible manner. There is nothing that you'll see in this reel that we couldn't shoot live for you to present into your homes this same experience. So I think it'd be a great time to run that clip.
Sure, let's run the Cirque du Soleil clip. Let me lead off on this. Yeah. So that was so much fun to shoot. We both got to run away and join the circus. Right here in Vegas. We had a blast shooting it, and it's just so magical. But we should point out the production parameters on this. We had 18 cameras. We were Steadicam, jibs, techno cranes, up in the rafters, handheld, even underwater, and the pace was relentless because, God bless them, the Cirque guys are on a roll. O, for example, sells out 99% every single night and has for 14 years. So getting in and working around that kind of a money machine, they couldn't interrupt the flow for us. We had to work around them. So many of the problems of a live production would have applied to you know, everything that we did there. So imagine bringing this kind of imagery into the home, whether it's opera, whether it's ballet, theater. There's so you know, all kinds of live music events. There's so many possibilities. I mean, obviously we're seeing sports is charging forward, and we're seeing the results on that. But I think there are so many other possibilities here. Just want to point out, this is for a feature release. It'll be later this year. I think it's coming out right before Christmas, December 18th, if I'm not mistaken. It's a Paramount release. Yeah, oh, Andrew Adamson is the director. I didn't direct this. Yeah. I was producer with Vince and with some of the Cirque du Soleil people. And Andrew Adamson was the director. I was producer and camera operator.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is exactly where I love to be. As long as I can operate camera, I'm
Yeah.
happy.
No, it was a great project, but I think what we're really trying to embrace is the fact that this medium that we're supporting and the vision of that medium is to extend and be inclusive of all of these products. I think sometimes we hone it down to what some people consider the low-hanging fruit, and that's not what this medium is about. It really is. It enhances all forms of entertainment. If it's captivating to you in 2D, wait till you see it in 3D. And it really is a strong message from us that all forms of entertainment are inclusive of this goal. We understand that the challenges are varied, that some projects are easier to shoot than others, but we're committed to equality, if you will, with the number of cameras, the ability of a director to tell the story from the different camera angles, the way we approach production. Our vision is that we're equal in that effort, and then we elevate the results. And I think that, you know, that's an important statement to be made, because you know, just pure visuals fall apart after a while. The gimmicky effect really doesn't play well in the storytelling process. And so as a company, you know, our vision is that we would provide the tools that allow production to deliver these type of results as if they're shooting it in 2D.
Right, and we're prepared to do that in methodology and technology. And you know, obviously what works best is when we have a partner that demands that we equal what they do in 2D, the way they've been doing it. If they need 22 cameras, it's 22 cameras. If they need those positions, it's those positions. There can't be a compromise. Just like there can't be a compromise in the quality of the 3D image that goes out. We can't be hurting people's eyes. We can't be out of sync. We can't have foreground objects that are so close that they can't be fused and they get in the way. And so, you know, just like we have to build into our technology the smarts, the intelligence, and the downstream processing, so that those images are not hurtful, that it's always value added, we also have to step up and meet every single position, every single every single thing that is the traditional approach. So when Vince is talking about traditional, and we're using a lot of untraditional technology to meet a traditional production paradigm, because that's what people recognize. And we find out that the people that are willing to partner with us and embrace 3D and take those chances, such as ESPN and CBS, that, you know, we have to meet that challenge that they throw out to us.
And one of the ways that we've done it through technology, and we're going to roll a master's clip that is a perfect example of merging an approach with traditional 2D methods. And what we introduced for the masters was a shadow technology. It's actually a shared camera approach, but the key factor to it is that the technology is leaning on the 2D operator. Now, this is a person that has 25 years experience, knows ball follow like the back of his hand. He is there for a reason. And what we've been able to do through technology is tap into that expertise. One of the comments that we saw going into it was that people were surprised at how well they were tracking the ball. And my comment was, what's different from what they've been doing for the last 25 years? So we're always looking for those opportunities where we could bridge the gap. We could use technology as an aid to still tap into the expertise of the production. And that starts with the director, that starts with the producers, that starts also with the cost model. All of those factors have to be bridged in order to make this successful. And profitability is based on that success. And
right.
So that's where we plan ourselves with it.
Well, you know, look, I mean, people who are out there, broadcasting whatever it is, whatever sport it is, they know it and they're profitable at it. They know how to do it. So when 3D sort of reared its ugly head, it's like, well, it's okay if we do 3D as long as we do it over there and it doesn't impact in any way our machine that's on a roll, that's been doing it year after year. I don't want my guys messed with. I don't want my camera positions messed with. I don't want my truck messed with. But you're welcome to do 3D. Well, how's that going to work? right? So now you're not in the right positions, you can't follow the action, you've got guys who are inexperienced operators who know 3D, they know the 3D cameras, they don't necessarily know the sport. And that's how a lot of these early experiments kind of went. Plus, the delta was huge because you had 100% of the main production unit and another production unit. And the other production unit, well, nobody was going to spend the same amount they were already spending, doubling it. So it wound up smaller, less experienced, out of position. There was no way it was going to work. It was, you know, it was shot in both legs before they even tried. And so then, it all felt compromised and expensive. Okay, and I think the industry kind of recoiled from that. You know, and it's also very difficult for Vince and I to meet that kind of zero delta you know, vision that we have if we're doing one game as an experiment for somebody or one episode as an experiment. You know, we need partners that are going to meet us halfway and say, do a season or do a whole series of games, because then, you know, we can't build you an iPhone for $300 if we're only building one. You know, you have to have the economy of scale. So scale is in our favor, but it requires the boldness of vision to do that. And then we can meet those numbers. That's the critical thing. I mean, everything that we're gearing toward now is doing 3D for the cost of 2D. Well, how do you do that? It's not so much a technology issue as it is a personnel issue. If every single 3D camera has got to have a 3D technician standing behind it somewhere in the chain, you're dead. You can't do it. You got 22 camera positions, that's 22 extra airfares. You know, if there's a guy pulling interocular and convergence and all that. So, you know, all of our technology is geared toward, you know, a 3D supervisor in an integrated 5D truck, mobile unit, and he's looking at 20 cameras. And the software is doing the work for him. He's looking at a single page. And when something comes up on one camera that looks like it needs a trim, needs a human in the loop to go in and cast an eye on it, well, he'll deal with that. I say he, it might be a she. We'll deal with that. We'll deal with that camera. So now you've got 20 cameras, one additional person. Now we're talking. Now we're getting close to that zero delta concept. But it requires a lot of technological development, which we've been doing over the last year at an almost logarithmic rate to be able to do that. And we're offering those solutions here at NAB. And I'll just take the opportunity now to encourage everybody to go out to our booth. It's in the outdoor area in between the two buildings. And you'll see not only the whole suite of products, but there's also the new Shadowcaster mobile unit is out there as well. And you'll really see, you know, an end-to-end solution that's integrated in the sense that there's a common DNA all the way through in the software, right down at a board level, from end to end, and it really does work.
And I think, you know, at this stage, because this is our third Masters that we're going to show you, and it was done with 28 cameras. And I remember the first time with Ken doing it with 9 cameras, when it was the revolutionary period. You know, no one had done this before. And I look back at that time, and you know, it's now with 28 cameras, we're doing it for a cost model that has no comparison to the first time that we did it. And I think it really begs to broadcasters out there to take the opportunity with us. That's what we're asking for, because we know that the tools are working for production now. We know that we're competing with a 2D model, and we're doing it well, and we're looking to say, let's ramp it up. Most of our designs are not targeting 20, 50, 100 cameras.
Yeah.
They're targeting thousands.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, don't give us one episode to shoot, and then give us one episode. We're happy to do it, but don't think you can extrapolate from that what the cost of a whole season will be, because you can't do a one-off of anything cost effectively, and that's the thing that everybody needs to understand. By all means, still experiment. You know, if you haven't shot 3D, you know, definitely get into it. You know, put your foot in the water. But you can't take the numbers that come out of that one-off experiment and expect that's your multiple, that's your delta on every single episode. The numbers that we'll offer you will be at scale, and they'll definitely work, because we're all about making it profitable. And the first step to making it profitable is making it cost effective and within the framework that you're already working.
Okay. So let's go ahead and roll that Masters clip.
Yeah, let's look at that Masters clip.
Or not, no.
It's storytelling.
Yeah. The whole aspect of covering the Masters, I think when we talk about the delta of return, from the first time we shot a golf hole, it was obvious to us that something was missing in the 2D production, and that was the real star. Yeah. And that was the course itself. And it's been a real exciting ride for us covering this sport, because there's no better star than the Augusta course, and it's really been a pleasure to work with that institution in trying to be forward-thinking and proactive in using new technology to represent their sport to a different level.
We've talked a lot about the technology. Do we want to run through some of the new products?
Yeah, I think this is the meat and potatoes for us. You know, I mean, this is for us what it's all about. How do we get there? And so I'd love to go ahead and start running some of these clips of the technology that we're introducing here. There's about 14 new products that CPG is applying to this industry, and some of them I want to highlight here. So we're going to go ahead and start with, there's 2 new rigs in our family of camera systems. And these camera systems are integrated, they're smart, and they're creative. And that's a real key factor. They're standalone systems. There's no other hardware that's related on the back end to get the job done. But what we're doing with this rig is really embedding 2 forms of our patented approach. One is the creative interpretation of the shot to help assist the filmmaker with, if he's determining composition, focus, and focal length, the system automatically calculates for him what the derivative of that is for good stereo. It also embeds a patented approach to stereo acquisition, which has a fixed camera system and a camera system that is operating on the nodal point, which gives you true stereo results on the system, so that when you're capturing this footage, it is unique. It is pleasing to the eye, because it is in many ways trying to capture and mimic what you see or experience with your own eyes. So there's two systems that are wrapped around this. And one of the key aspects of this, it is a fully integrated system. So the amount of cables, hookups, whether you talk about time code, whether you talk about sync, whether you talk about plugging in the camera system, it has reduced that all to a minimum. So there is no external boxes, there is no ancillary hardware that you have to put on this. And we could go ahead and fly the Alexa version of this same camera system. But in both cases, these are approaches that really minimize what I call the Medusa effect of our business.
Yeah, a lot of cables.
Yeah, when you
a lot of cables, a lot of plugs, a lot of stuff to chase down, slows you down when you're moving from point to point, stabbing in the camera, getting it back into the system. This really is a huge breakthrough. The Alexa one is obviously not as autonomous because the Alexa has the processors off, the Epic. You can just gun and run with the Epic rig. The Alexa, you know, for those of you that know that camera, absolutely beautiful camera, and the M model allows us to compete in terms of size and weight if it's on the shoulder, if it's on a Steadicam. Right. These are both beautiful systems to be making movies, episodic television, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, and this is using what we call a Super 7 fiber, you know, single cable, 7 fiber transports, allows us plenty of headroom to give you overlays in your viewfinder, additional returns or, you know, playback through the system. So it really is a set-based integrated system with a single camera. We can move on to what I consider kind of a set-in-a-box type mentality. This is what we refer to as a mini X-frame. One of our engineers said, boy, it would really be good if we just created more of a modular type approach in a small X-frame type package. And in this package, we're really servicing all the varied demands of a production, whether it's routing of signals to a variety of monitors. It's fully wireless for taking images from for instance, the Epic system. It has playback capabilities. It has full metadata tracking, color management, you know, DC powered, AC powered. It's really set up as the true, you know, set in the box. Let's just pick it up and go. You know, because on set, as a lot of people realize, there's a lot of demands on the system. There's a lot of people looking at the images. There's a lot of needs, and this is kind of a breakthrough in that. Typically, it's this large cart of, you know, kind of the Wizard of Oz approach, and this has reduced it to that. This is what we refer to as the mini X-frame. Moving on to the Max Remote, you know, from our perspective, these cameras need to be deployed as if it's a maintenance mechanic, bolting them into position. You know, gone are the days where we really start to approach it where a system tech has to be there, or don't touch the camera until the 3D guy gets there. The whole intent of this system is that the actual camera operator would deploy his camera as normal, and all of our requirement is remoted. And one of the killer features here that hasn't been done before is back focus. You know, cameras just don't have a remote capability for back focus. Personally, in 2D, I think they should. But in 3D, we solved the problem. By approaching this, it is a mandatory requirement in 3D. And so this system allows complete remote setup of all the functions that are critical to a production. And it takes it even further. It's alignment, it's nodal point tracking. It is really a very powerful system that is taking the industry to a level that says we still want management for good results, but we don't want to impact the point of capture. And so the Max Remote system is really a unique approach to that allows us to manage the stereo requirement without any connection or dependency on the operator, which is a big deal. Moving from there, we have the Shadow D system, which has been a real breakthrough for us and has continued to give us opportunities in 2D production that would not be afforded to a separate crew. We're talking about net cameras. We're talking about cameras and coverage in golf, or slash cameras in basketball. These positions, based on the course architecture, based on the arena architecture, are sensitive to other cameras being placed. They're called seat kills if you do that. And the more in demand the sport is, the less they want to kill a seat. So as we go after the finals in basketball, as we go after sports that are reaching their pinnacle of their season, which makes it a perfect candidate for us to be working together, the restriction goes up for us as to what's our access. So the Shadow D system has really been a breakthrough for us actually stealing the shot from that exact same position. And I'll tell you how critical this is, because you can look at the over architecture of the sport and say, okay, why can't you just put another camera system? If you take a slash position on a basketball court, that position has been defined to capture the line of traffic coming to the basket and the shot from the corner into the net. If you move a foot or two to the right, you will not get the net. If you move a foot or two to the left, you won't get the action coming down the field or the court. So it's critical that we work together to get the same exact benefit of that camera position with two results. And there's technology related to this that allows us to adjust the frame so that we can actually modify the composition if we want to with the system. So moving on to the next product. This is a new CCU for the industry. How are we going to manage three signals? There's one SMPTE cable going to that camera position that was built into the arena when they built it, right?
So one fiber.
Right. So this is a 4.5G capable device. This is if you want to plug in 3 video signals, if you want to plug in 3 remote cables for data. This device doesn't care. 1, 2, 3, it doesn't matter to it. It is going to go down that SMPTE fiber that's supplied for that production. So again, we're gone are the days where we're laying new cable or we're trying to define more infrastructure in order to accomplish a 5D production. This really treats 5D production as if it was a 2D production. And there's a lot of ancillary tools to this, which are RCPs and control devices that follow the same parameters. 1, 2, 3, doesn't matter to it. So it's an exciting new product for us. We talked about the next product online is really it's a shadow control panel, but you really need to look at this as a stereo technical director. The technical director has been an anchor for 2D production for some time. He's a guy that orchestrates all of those cameras in a complex situation, and he makes it look simple. And the shadow control panel is doing exactly that. It is allowing almost a stereo technical director to orchestrate all these cameras. It will handle up to 40 cameras. Internal switching, modification of single
40
cameras.
3D cameras.
40 3D cameras.
Yeah.
And
80.
which is 80 to the layman. It's a scalable architecture. You don't have to come out of the gate with a 40-channel router. It starts in 10-channel increments. And so again, it's taken the philosophy of 2D production where they had an individual that was instrumental in a successful production and said, we need that same guy. If we're going to do 5D and we're going to deliver 2 deliverables, I need that same position. And it is the one position that we're targeting as the increase to your production. So one person to manage the 3D in the system. So the next product is how we really start to manage how we allow the individual to manage multiple cameras, and that's through technology. So the CamNet Profile Manager and the philosophy of CPG is to design camera systems that have a profile. And we've been using these tricks for some time with lens management and so forth. The minute we establish a profile for a camera, it means I could match it to any other camera. It doesn't have to be some individual attention to detail. Hardware can manage that completely. And this system is designed to go with the shadow control panel to allow the individual to get all the information that he needs to run a successful production. So we're now ramping it up so that the QC process is in the technology.
Yeah.
But the human interface, how the stereo is being acquired, what's that creative intercutability between the two cameras is really going through an operator. And going back to the same model of 2D, that's exactly how it exists right now. You have a director interacting with someone who knows how to orchestrate all the camera systems.
I think it's a good moment to just point out, we're not trying to sell you this stuff. This is part, no, we're not selling boxes. That's not our business. We want you to license our end-to-end solution. And these boxes are built by us to be part of that solution. We build them up from the board level because we're out there shooting every single day. And we know what we need. And so these are to make our lives better and to make 3D production better. So we're not trying to sell you a box that's got some hypothetical value. This is stuff we need to do good 3D at the scale that's being demanded of us and at the pace that's being demanded of us. So these, you know, I always say Vince and I are like street racers. You know, we go home, we retune the car, we go out and we race. So we build the stuff, and then we go operate it, and then we make it better. And so this is, you know, multi-generational development of these tools based on our direct experience in the field. And it's got the same DNA inside it that we've been developing for years with the CamNet protocols and so on. And when we identify a need, whether it's, you know, a need from the people that we're working with, our partners, you know, to make it easier for them psychologically to adopt 3D, to break down those barriers to entry, we'll go out and we'll make those tools. And we're not, you know, a system integrator that's kludging together an Evertz box and a Sony box and trying to cobble together some system that sort of works. We're creating an organically integrated end-to-end solution that's plug and play for us, because we know how fast you got to be able to plug it and catch that play. So you know, what we're looking for, what we provide is an end-to-end solution on essentially a licensed sort of lease basis. And that's, you know, a lot of people have questioned that. We even questioned it internally. And they said, well, why don't you just sell us a rig? It's like, okay, we can sell you a rig. And then 2 years from now, we'll have been two or three generations beyond that rig, and leasing, leasing and providing services to other people with the 3-generation newer rig, and you'll still have that rig. You won't be able to compete with the people that are using our new stuff. We can afford to centrally throw a lot of horsepower at the engineering development. We can make something obsolete in 3 months, 6 months, throw it away or incorporate it, build upon it. And if you just want to buy a rig and buy the hardware and kind of own it, you're going to be obsolete in that same 2 months or 6 month period. So we actually think this is a better way to do it. It's better for everybody. It works better for us because we're always at the cutting edge, and it works better for the industry because you're not mired. I mean, everything's changing so quickly. You can't be date stamped 6 months ago or a year ago. You won't be competitive. So anyway, I'm sorry, I kind of broke in with a screed there, but I thought it was important to understand, to contextualize, what these products mean.
Yeah, in many ways, we're selling you on the approach, not the product.
Yeah, exactly.
We're trying to say, let us handle the challenge. Let you buy into the production approach, and together we're going to be successful in producing 5D deliverables. And it's not a product sell, because this is a CamNet profile manager. CamNet has been a development backbone of everything that we've done for the last 8 or 9 years. And really what this is doing is now taking it to the level where all of the products are solving a problem, and they're all working on the same architecture for that success. And that's what we want you guys to buy into, and as I said before, take the opportunity and utilize it. So the last product that has been in development for about 2 years since we started with the original Shadow system, and it's the Handheld Shadow. And this year we're introducing it at NAB. Hopefully it'll come up there. There we go. This is a system that takes that same philosophy. There's the ability of this system is a 3D camera system on a 2D camera system. The 2D director is not impacted at all, very much like our hard mount shadows. They can frame up the shot the way they want to. Through the use of frame linking, we can adjust the composition of the 3D shot with no impact on the 2D. This is a 22-pound system. It is a shoulder handheld mounted device, and it is using a tremendous amount of technology to take the focal length and the focus distance of the 2D operator and say, what can I do with that?
I got to jump in here. I was playing with this thing right before we came over here, and it's sexy.
Yeah.
I mean, you just grab that lens barrel and grab your focus, and you're just operating that 2D camera exactly as you always would. You're not even thinking about it, and the whole thing is so light at 22 pounds. It's actually got a good weight for handheld because it's not too shaky, not like a camcorder size. And when you turn that barrel, the whole servo system up on top is moving the beam splitter, automatically adjusting convergence, automatically adjusting interocular. It's amazing to watch. It's almost alive.
Yeah, it's true.
It's a very cool rig. I can't wait to shoot with it myself.
Yeah, and the thing is, one of the most noticeable points is you're manually turning the barrel for the 2D operator. He's doing everything ergonomically that he would be normally doing, and this system is automatically reacting to that in a electronic and algorithm.
Yeah, that's the smart look. When you turn that barrel, the camera is saying to itself, okay, I now know where the subject is. I know how far away the subject is. When you hit that zoom toggle, you're saying, I want to be this size. That's all the camera needs to know. It's handling the stereo space for you. It's doing the convergence. It's doing the interocular. It's taking those guys twiddling knobs back behind the curtain and put them into the smarts of the camera. And that's what we stood here last year and said we were going to do. And this is the type of technology that we've gone through rapid prototyping, R&D into product, and it's in the field now in that period of time. So that's the kind of rapid pace that we like to work at.
Mm-hmm. And this position on any sport is what I call the trophy position. It is the one camera that gets that trophy. It's the one camera that gets that interview of the player after they've won the match. And we wanted to be a part of that experience. We didn't want to shoot a secondary camera or an off angle. We wanted that money shot just as much as 2D will. And Handheld Shadow is the definition of acquiring that with no impact on the 2D production.
Yeah.
So
we're kind of running out of time.
So
we probably want to do a few questions before we've got about
X Games.
Oh, we've got to run the X Games.
Yeah.
Screw questions. Let's watch the X Games.
This was a true 5D production, which we're quite proud of, and a lot of credit for ESPN for their forward thinking to commit to such a substantial effort with 35 cameras on the slopes of Aspen.
Yeah, baby. All right, we got 3 minutes for questions. Any volunteers? Jump up to the mic. This young lady right here. I'll just repeat your question. Just shout it out.
I just wanted to know, I mean, as I watch these images, I just think of epic yet intimate.
Yeah. What she said was that when she sees the images, they seem epic yet intimate. And this is what we've been finding, is that it's obvious that big-scaled, spectacular stuff is going to look cool in 3D. What we're finding is the physical proximity of the camera to people when they're right there. You feel like you're physically standing in front of the people. You feel like you're right there, whether it's courtside or some of that stuff with the champions kind of cheering right in front of the lens. You feel like you're right there. There's a human connection, and I think that that's powerful in sports. It's powerful in any kind of entertainment to feel connected to the performer. It's not just an abstract image playing on a flat screen. It's a sense of physical presence, and that's the one thing that 3D offers that nothing else can do.
What are your plans for high frame rate stereoscopic films, feature films in the future?
Well, we already have high frame rate in broadcast, fortunately. The sports broadcast at 60i and transitioning to 60p, so that's kind of already there. It's in the cinemas, we have to keep up with that. We're still mired in the last century 24p rate, and I'm going to shoot the Avatar 2 and 3 at a higher rate, 48 or 60. We're still doing tests to see how that impacts our visual effects workflow, which is the only thing that we still have to consider, because the projection technology is there. The major projector manufacturers are moving toward high frame rate capability. The cameras already do it. The Epic, the Alexa, the others, they'll all run the high speed rates. So we're essentially there technologically. We just have to look at the impact to visual effects and post-production.
What timetable do you have for Avatar 2 and 3?
That's classified. Thanks for your question. That's a good question. And by the way, for those of you that haven't been following the whole high frame rate thing, there are artifacts associated with 3D when you watch it on the big screen at 24 frames that we can eliminate by shooting and projecting at higher rates. And people that have seen the demos that we've done and other demos are blown away by it. And if you haven't heard, Peter Jackson is doing the Hobbit, the 2 Hobbit films at high frame rate as well. Now that's going to be a limited release initially until it starts to gain traction. But it's just incumbent on us as entertainers to constantly be upping the bar and giving a better experience to the audience. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it seems like you guys have some rockin' plans for production and making that easier. Are you concerned about exhibition and the adoption rate there and getting what you've shot to the viewer? And how's that market working out for you guys? Is it limiting you?
I think we're more constrained by the amount of content and by the hesitance of content providers right now. I think that the delivery and display side of it, like I said, is going to take care of itself. Right now, the big CE companies, they feel like they made a big push, and 3D is pretty much embedded in any mid to high end, large flat panel display that you're going to buy these days. So in a way, we're over that initial hump. We imagined that it might be hard to get to that we'd be producing content, there'd be no screens to show it on, but we've got that part of it. It'll be a larger flow of content that encourages them to proceed aggressively to the next big milestone, being glasses-less display. And I actually think that there's going to be an end run around the big flat panels with tablets and laptops. Because so many people are taking in their entertainment at a tablet-scaled display, and that's really a single-user paradigm. So you can the technology to do that without glasses is here right now. It's just a question of wide-scale adoption, and again, you got to have the content. It's that chicken and egg problem that we had in the movie business.
And I think to touch on that, we've challenged CPG with a zero delta approach, and a zero delta in the cost model. So we're not impacting the financial model for approaching 5D production, and zero delta in the impact on the workflow. So, you know, it really begs the question, why not shoot it in 5D?
Yeah.
What's your argument for not delivering more to the consumer? And I think it then leapfrogs over to when you're purchasing, you know, TVs in the mid-range to the high range now, it comes with the 3D feature. It's not a separate television purchase.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if on one end you're saying, why not shoot it in this new medium if it's not going to cost you more or it's not going to impact your production, and all of these consumers are now becoming a customer base for seeing this footage, you know, that's going to reach a tipping point where the two will merge.
Right.
Thanks.
Okay, so we're running a bit long. Why don't we do one more question?
I would like to, I'm Brazilian, and
Yes.
the mobile market is very big there.
Yeah.
So I would like to ask you if it's possible to make a soap opera here with this technology for phones and iPads for
Well,
Latin America.
Yeah, well, regardless of how it's displayed, a soap opera or any kind of scripted episodic television is really the low-hanging fruit we've missed. We've gone around the lowest hanging fruit to stuff that's much harder to shoot. Doing, you know, a 22 or 30 or 40 camera, you know, sporting event is a lot harder. You show up with 3 cameras to shoot scripted, you know, dramatic. That's very straightforward. And the reason I say it's a low-hanging fruit is because it's very much like movie production, which is closer to just a few cameras. The technology hit is going to be much less. It's certainly, I mean, if we can do 30 cameras, we can do 3 very, very easily. And you're not doing visual effects because you don't have the post-production for it. It's getting shot, it's getting cut, it's going out, very, very quick turn. And that kind of you know, the market for episodic, whether it's soap operas or whether it's scripted 1 hours or whatever it is, I think that should be the place where we should be looking for the most rapid growth. Again, because of that intimacy factor that the 3D gives you. And you talk about an increase to the impact to the viewer. If you have some big $150 million movie with a lot of visual effects in it, the 3D makes it better. It doesn't make it a lot better because it's already spectacular. You take a small drama, you shoot it in 3D, and man, you're right there. And there's nothing more interesting to watch than human beings. Human beings like to watch human beings. It's sort of the basis of all scripted drama that's being done out there. And in 3D, you feel like you're right there. You feel like you're involved. So I really see that as an area where we should really be pushing for rapid growth, whether it's Brazil, here, wherever. And if you want to watch it on an iPhone, that's cool too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This gentleman has been waiting patiently.
Okay, I think let's one more. We have
over here at the mic here.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Mike on the other side. Last question.
Going back to what you said about we're not trying to sell you a box. We know how to work the software and the equipment, and we're marketing ourselves. Is that what I'm getting?
Well, we're marketing a solution that you can license, you can lease as an end-to-end solution, as opposed to purchase and cobble together. Try to be your own system integrator with a box from here and a box from there.
Yeah, but I don't think we want to confuse it that we're trying to, you know, do a crew model or a personnel support. Really, people are going to be capable of doing this through the technology, just like 2D. What we're trying to do is, you know, really offer up integrated products that work together as a whole package that we can offer up and license.
And it'd be a custom package depending on what your needs are.
Yeah.
You know, so we'd come in, we'd work with you to define exactly what your needs are, contour, you know, a custom end-to-end solution on a lease or license model.
And one of the products that we didn't mention, and I invite you to come see it, was we just took delivery from Gerling Associates, a 53-foot double expando, you know, 5D production model. It's rack ready at this stage. We're just taking delivery of it, but you're going to see the production model going into the future here, and it's going to be defined with this end-to-end workflow mentality.
Yeah, we call that the Shadowcaster, and it's also out there near our tent. So check it out. Okay, we better wrap this up. We've run a little bit long. Sorry, but it's been a good session.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.